Hey everybody, it's Patrick Lovell, truth bombing and riffing on the largest criminal conspiracy and cover up in history that never ends. And it is Thursday, May 25th at approximately 11:25 a.m. my time. And this is going to be a short one. It's going to be direct, and maybe a gut punch, if you will. And if you are just discovering me for the first time, I highly encourage you to see many things that I've put out there available online, particularly on YouTube at Patrick Lovell Truth Bombs the Con. If you go to you plus me, it equals everybody you see, i.e., we the people. That has a lot of the details of who I am and what I stand for and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I'm going to try to keep this extremely light and simple. Listen, we have been completely under assault by a system that isn't a natural occurrence. What we're in the midst of is completely wag the dog social construct engineering that has completely pulled the wool over the American people's eyes as to how our system is completely corrupt, bankrupt, morally bankrupt, and a tyrannical scenario in sheep's clothing. And the entirety of what we're seeing unfold with the 2024 presidential election is mostly more of the same, with a few caveats. Yesterday, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, rolled out the ultimate face plant wipeout on Twitter with Elon Musk. That was a complete joke. But further to the technical problems that were a part of the Twitter platform glitch feed after, I was about to say Osama bin Laden, that's funny, after Elon Musk had done the rug pull on 75% of the people that worked for Twitter. It was a complete failure and a disaster and a complete embarrassment for a guy who this country has invested gazillions of dollars into our space program and, of course, into our what I thought was going to be the paradigm change. And I still, to this day, cannot believe that Elon Musk has become what he is. But Elon Musk is what he fancies himself, the kingmaker, suddenly, right? And I never saw this one coming a mile away. But I can tell you what I did see was the details of Ron DeSantis, or we should say Ron Disaster, of course, coined by none other than Don Teflon Khan, the Trump, as Ron Disaster. And I can tell you, because I have the evidence, that Mr. DeSantis is a tool. He is a complete representation of everything that I have been unfolding to you, which is the face of a corporate fascist state undergirded by a criminal syndicate. He works for Bank of America. Bank of America has been responsible for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of foreclosures, not just around the country, but in the state of Florida. And Ron DeSantis has stacked the deck with a general counsel of people in the Supreme Court and the appellate courts that are allowing massive, massive criminal documentation fraud and perjury and all manner, form, shape of judicial corruption in the state. And of course, Elon Musk just platformed a guy complicit in massive criminality. That's first and foremost. Second of all, why would that change anything or make anybody concerned? Well, because we had a Donald Trump, the president of the United States, who was guilty of gazillions of crimes in his business, which are of course about to become more clear through Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, in all manner, shapes, or form of what we call control fraud within the Trump organization. Now, recently, we have seen a tidal wave of, look, the investigation of the special counsel under the Bill Barr DOJ, this guy, John Durham, that basically gave, at best, a whitewash of who Donald Trump's relationship was with Putin, and everybody from Matt Taibbi to Russell Brand to Jimmy Dore are like, look, see, there was no collusion. I mean, it was the absolute ridiculous that nobody is looking into the reality of Deutsche Bank vis-a-vis Putin and Donald Trump. It's the most obvious collusion in the history of the world, and yet that's not part of the story. And one of my main criticisms is I have seen somebody who I used to love and respect, but now I know he's a tool for MAGA clickbait, is Russell Brand, who always puts more emphasis on things like Hunter Biden's laptop. than, for example, all manner, shape, or form of Saudi Arabia, given 9/11 and our government to this deep state, but ultimately to Donald Trump, who famously said last year at his golf course at Bedminster on the Live Golf Tour, which is funded by Saudi Arabia, hey, nobody got to the bottom of 9/11, so what are you going to do? Don has been a part of the mob, and I don't have the actual evidence of this other than the knowledge of everything that took place with the five families back in, I don't know, the 70s initially, as his Herculean monstrosity of real estate fraud manifested itself all over Manhattan, and then, of course, later in New Jersey, and everything that came with, at that time period, junk bonds and savings and loan fraud, and ultimately manifested through control fraud his entire career until he miraculously backdoors into the presidency of the United States. I think that guy is the Manchurian candidate. I think he's been a part of the mob the whole time. I think my theory is that everything that I've been learning about the CIA and everything they were involved with, going back to the Dulles brothers and everything that has constituted the Cold War and their dance with fascists throughout Central Europe and South America, and what that constituted as a bulwark against communism and everything else, ultimately came back to haunt us. And everything from 9/11 forward is part and parcel to what all of the MAGAs are looking for, but they keep getting punked by, which is really the deep state. It is the fusion between Wall Street and our financial system, and of course, military industrial complex and everything that comes with it, and of course, the revolving door. But what I have are the revelations of everything that created the 2008 great financial crisis that ultimately leads us to understand that it was Federal Reserve Act 13.3 that pumped $29 trillion illegally into the corrupt malpractice of our entire government and financial system, and everything that's come since is just a facade of corruption. Yeah, it's not a democracy. You might say it's a republic, i.e., minority rule for what they self-describe themselves as the elite. It's a corporate fascist system undergirded by a criminal syndicate that uses socialism to backdoor and guarantee the mob that is now fueling fascism. This has been a part of, like, I don't know, 5 decades, literally. And I could give you every single example of it and reflection of it. But the bottom line is, I'm leading a tidal wave populist crusade to purge corruption. If you, me, and everyone you see who isn't a Nazi, who believes in dignity, decency, integrity, liberty, and sustainability, and we come together in unity, we will purge the misery of tyranny. All you have to do is contribute, invest $13 to our um, uh, rise of the American people. That's all there is to it. All of the presidential candidates are a patchwork of this stuff. Doesn't matter if it's Biden; he's been a part of the machine going back, I think, almost 5 decades. And then ultimately Trump, I think he's the ultimate Manchurian candidate to get everybody to get absolutely insane over his insanity. But at the bottom line is corruption births and fuels fascism. There's no way Donald Trump is still breathing free air if somebody in power doesn't want that to be. And I can tell you, going back to Barack Obama rode this populist wave of change we can believe in to create a New Deal like FDR. But what he did is he put all of the people that created this madness that we're in the midst of back in control. They're in control. It's the oligarchs. It's representation by the minority in all shapes, forms of corruption. The only way we're going to break this is if you understand the information that I am providing you, because if you plus me equals we the people, and it's going to take millions of us to overcome the corruption. Right now, billionaires are spending billions to loot trillions, and they do it with the media that they own, and they do it with these politicians they own. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like John Carpenter's 1985 film, They Live, because it is. This isn't science fiction. This isn't some sort of, like, Orwellian sort of depiction of what is. No, this is actually what it is. When and this is the entirety of the work of the Con, www.thecon.tv. It's not rocket science. It's racketeering. When you have the truth, you're bulletproof. Onwards and upwards. Rise, roar, revolt.